Lynx, tigers, and bears. Oh my, don't lie. It's cold outside, and it's cold inside. It's like everywhere I turn, I just want it burned. You think it's all good cause he says Kwam Yasha Allah, and you think it's all good cause they get praised to higher, but they lie. If they lie, left and look, they fake looking like they been in the bathroom, boo boo and like that. Threatened, they feel threatened. Cut you off like NASCAR and not to lose that position. This can't be Hebrewism, cause I ain't come for positions. I just wanted baptism. Not other people lame. Really, most of them could see when they leave. Leader comes around, they be acting like he do. To new Hebrews and Hebrews, I say chill, I say chill. I struggle like you struggle, yeah, I know. Come from that jungle where the I lie. It ain't your partner, but when you swallow loud, they turn Phantom of the Opera. It means you see their mask now. They see you practice what you preach. They don't know how to act now. But you don't be chin, but you firm in your conviction. So you don't be budging. You ain't hating on nothing, but you put down the lusting, and you see yourself as raw. So you ain't with the cussing. Y'all make plans, no, so you go hold it down. You try to correct your partner cause they slacking, slows you down. Now they feeling, saying you act all good. That's the Father trying to tell us we're unevenly yoked. It's a foe. Now they acting like a mark, like they never was real. Make you wanna relax, but we saw.
Yeah, that song is good. David, that you know how to deal with the enemy.
Okay, scriptures. 1 Peter 4. Starting the verse was persecuted by his own people. It said, verse 12, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fire which is to try you, as though some strange and happen unto you. You ain't strange. You ain't throwing. Nope. We going through it too, and it gets greater later. That's what a real crew gonna say. Right after they tell
you. Like, people in on Facebook. Gotta do this work. Y'all never shadow pan and notifications don't go out. Welcome to the Hebrew state of being. I am your humble servant and host for tonight. I am Kayel. In the building, I have just myself. My youngin is away with his pops this weekend, and my wife is out to work as the sun has gone down on this Sabbath. But I'm still coming through with this lesson tonight. All praising to the Most High. But again, welcome. So, Solo Dolo, I'm in the building. We got a special lesson for you guys tonight on this post-Shabbat. The title of the lesson is Confusion, Yet Grace and Mercy. we have so many things going on right now that so many people are just confused on which way to go. And unfortunately, when people get confused, many times the next human thing to do is to give up. It's just to go back to what you know. And what I'm expressing to you guys is what we have been taught, what we have been raised in this world. I see Logan's in the building, just talked about you, son, in the building. So we revert back to what the scripture will call our vomit, because the way we've been raised in this society, we have not been given what Logan has been given, a different perspective from a child. Most of us were indoctrinated and ingrained in the Abrahamic faith religions. So in those religions, they have conditioned us to believe, to accept the way the world is, and that once we die, we can get the heavenly glory. When in fact, our scripture, and as a Hebrew, as the Torah and the Tanakh says, we can have our glory here on earth. And then the Most High doubles down and says that when he destroys the evil on this earth, that he's going to bring his kingdom from the heavens, from Shemayim, to this earth. So absolutely, we can have glory, joy, peace on this earth in our lifetime. We have to change what our desires are. When we change what we seek and what we desire, to no longer desire the ways of the world or the indoctrinations of what we've been taught, that we make ourselves enjoy the ways of the Most High, and you have glory, you have a kingdom here on earth. But as the title of the lesson is, confusion, yet grace and mercy. We are in the midst of tumultuous times. Crazy things are happening. People are acting wild. They're talking about alien crafts passing us in November, October. We're looking at impending wars. We're looking at the president federalizing and bringing police into 20 or more cities. How can we say, yet we still have grace and mercy, when we're looking at such daunting times, when we seem to be in a situation that seems to be no answers, or nothing that we can do with our physical hands, our money, to change the way that this world is crumbling? Tonight, we're going to use Moshe. Moses is going to be the crux, as Logan may like that word, crux of our lesson tonight. The lesson of how Moshe was in the midst of confusion, not knowing what was going to become of him, because he had just committed what Egypt considered a crime by killing one of the guards. And then, as you've been told, or you've been indoctrinated in your Abrahamic faith, that Moses disappeared for 40 years in the wilderness. Like, he didn't do nothing but like eat berries and fruit, eat berries and whatever was there, and just let his hair grow out and found himself. That's not exactly what happened with Moshe, but Moshe's confusion of not knowing what he was doing or what was next going to happen unto him, yet he was receiving major grace and mercy. That's what I want to offer to you guys tonight. But we're going to start off with Exodus. Before we do that, this is Shabbat, so we got to blow the shofar, baby. Yes. So we're going to blow the shofar as customary as it did in the temple, and before the lessons were given, because this is how we called everyone to the assembly. So as we are calling everyone to the assembly, we're going to stand to the east and pray to the east. And what are we praying to the east, and why are we praying to the east? We are praying to the east that the Most High, the lesson that I have prepared in the words of his scripture that I'm going to bring forth, that the Most High has brought you here to have those scriptures answer the questions that have been inside your spirit. We pray that when you allow these scriptures to answer those questions you've been having, that the Most High levels you up when it resonates with you, whether it be right now, next week, or next month. So we stand to the east. Why? Because that's where the sun comes out every morning and the windows of the Shemayim of heaven are open. So let's go. And we're going to go to shofar. I got a screen share. I want y'all to see the brothers doing the shofar. You know what I mean? Got to do that. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, man. All praises unto the Most High, man. Yes, let's get this going. So we're going to go to Exodus, right? 33. I'm going to start the lesson off before we get to our book of Jasher. Total different book that most people don't know about because it's not part of the Abrahamic faith as doctrine, right? But we know it to be true. Exodus 33, verse 13. And it reads, as soon as I find it, there we go. Now, if I have truly gained your favor, pray, let me know your ways, that I may know you and continue in your favor. Consider too that this nation is your people. This is so this is Moshe in Exodus, and he is praying unto the Most High. He is saying to the Most High that, let me go to verse 12. Moshe said to the Most High, see, you say to me, lead this people forward, but you have not made known to me whom you will send with me. That's the confusion of Moshe. Moshe knows what he's supposed to do. The Most High has clearly told him what he is supposed to do, but the confusion is how he's supposed to do it, how he's supposed to apply what the Most High has given him. Most of us, we find ourselves in this position many times in this world that is anti the Most High, this world that's anti the Messiah, meaning the anointed. They are against and anti the anointed people of the Most High. So many times it's hard for us to move and operate in the Ten Commandments in a nation that's constantly attacking us and attacking our views because they do everything the opposite of. So Moshe, again, confused. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but how am I supposed to do it? And he says, you're supposed to send somebody with me. And he says further, you said, I have singled you out by name, and you have indeed gained my favor. So then Moshe says to him, now, if I have truly gained your favor, verse 12, pray, let me know your ways. So the first thing Moshe needs to know in his confusion is the ways of the Most High. That's where we are supposed to break things down to, no matter how complicated our problems are, no matter how complicated the world is. we are to simplify it to the ways of the Most High. And Moshe is asking, since he wrote the Torah and this was not there for him to read, he's asking for the Most High through his meditation, through direct conversation, through an understanding, not hocus pocus. Same way you can do it. The same way you communicate with your Creator. Break it down simply and say, what are your ways? We know Exodus chapter 20 is his ways. So when it says, let me know your ways that I may know you and continue in your favor. So Moshe is saying, if I know your laws, then I can move in your ways and I will be favored. I see disappropriatism in the building. I like that, disappropriate. I like that. So we're understanding that in the world of confusion, world of being attacked all the time, that we can be confused on what direction we should go. And I'm using Moshe as the example of which way we should go. And Moshe says the first thing to do is to understand the ways of the Most High, because that's the thing that's going to be a victory in the end. It is not the ways of the world or trying to replicate doing it the way they're doing it. Kill or be killed. Says, so I know I can continue in your favor. And then he also says, consider too that this nation is your people. And then the Most High said to him in verse 14, and he said, I will go in the lead and will lighten your burden. And he said to him, unless you go in the lead, do not make us leave this place. For how shall it be known that your people have gained your favor unless you go with us, so that we may be distinguished, your people and I, from every people on the face of the earth. This is Exodus chapter 33, verses 12 through 14, and that was 14. So if the Most High is walking with us, and that's what you hear in all these Abrahamic faiths, how there was a cloud that led the 12 tribes. That led the 12 tribes, right? This is what Moshe's request was, and the Most High gave it to him. And we still have it to this day. Let's go to Psalms 77. Psalm 77, verse 7 and 9. Psalms chapter 77, verse 7 through 9. I recall at night their jibs at me. I commune with myself. My spirit inquires, will the Most High reject me, reject forever, and never again show favor? Has his faithfulness disappeared forever? Will his promise be unfulfilled for all time? Has the Most High forgotten how to pity? He has in anger stifled his compassion. And said, has he in anger stifled his compassion? And I said, it is my fault that the right hand of the Most High has changed. Wow. So this is David expressing to his, well, this is the leader, Jeduthun of Asher in the Psalm. So this is Jeduthun, Jeduthun asking himself, I see one mic is in the building. Has the Most High rejected him? He knows of the favor that was given to us through Moshe. He understands the Torah and that the Most High walked with us through 12, you know what I'm saying, 12 through the 12 tribes through the wilderness to get us to Jerusalem. He understands all of that. But he's asking, we know we did bad. We know we went against the law and have been going against the law. Will you reject us? Most High is not going to reject us. Because at the end, he says he realizes in verse 11, and I said, it is my fault that the right hand of the Most High has changed. The Most High's covenant is still here. I think we forget that as we're on our road, as we are confused sometimes, we need to realize that absolutely the covenant is still here. And he doesn't reject us if we don't reject him. If, as it's stated in Exodus 33, when Moshe says, let me know the ways, your ways, so that I can continue in your favor. This is here in Deuteronomy acknowledging the same thing that Moshe is saying. That look at here, man, the covenant is here. The Most High has made the bond with us. It is us in our confusion because we're in the midst of a world of hate and anger that doesn't look like this, that doesn't act like this. We don't know how to respond to the attacks that we get. We don't know how to deal with the downtrodden times. We don't know how to deal with the setbacks that happen because the world is doing it to us and it's not playing according to the rules of the Most High. Most High says, hey, I don't care that they ain't playing according to my rules. You apply my rules. You do what's according to my law. You are extremely intelligent, my people. You can stop, meditate, block the world out, and you can get the answer sometimes from your gut doggone self, or rather, a download, as they say, from the Most High. We are so fast to ask others. We are so fast to inquire from another that we don't stop and ask the Most High and allow him the time, the quiet space to give us the answer. But as he's speaking in Psalms, he's having this thoughtful conversation. He's saying to himself, man, Most High, are you rejecting me? Are you done with us? Is it all of them? He said, oh, I get it. The download hit him. Oh, no, your hand is only changed because of my actions. Verse 12, I recall the deeds of Shaddai. Yes, I recall your wonders of old. So in the midst of the confusion, he's realizing the grace and the mercy by also remembering the times that the Most High has shown his hand for us. To remind himself that we don't always know the way that the Most High is going to give us our salvation, how he's going to give us our answer, how he's going to open up a road, how he's going to open that window when the door is closed. Sometimes we got to remind ourselves that he does these things. That's why we got the book for remembrance. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. And it reads, when you have eaten your fill, give thanks to Shaddai, your creator, for the good land which he has given you. Verse 11, take care lest you forget the Most High, your creator, and fail to keep his commandments, his rules, and his laws, which I enjoin upon you today. This is Moshe again, saying to you, hey, when you go out here and you get into this world, you leave out these camps, you leave out this temple, you leave out this confines of our people and our thought process. When you head out there, don't forget the commandments, his laws, and his rules that I'm giving you on this day. I see vets in the building. Don't forget the laws that I'm giving you. It's the same today as it was 4,000 years ago. Same today as it was 5,000 years ago. Same today as it was 1,000 years ago. If you understand the Most High's law, Exodus chapter 20, if you are walking in his ways, then there is protection. There's a covenant that is everlasting. Period. No faith in nothing else. No, follow his law, and you have salvation. Let's go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 8. Genesis chapter 6, verse 8. I'm going to start at 7. The Most High said, I will blot out from the earth the men whom I've created, men together with beasts, creeping things, and birds of the sky, for I regret that I made them. Verse 8, but Noah found favor with Shaddai. Noah, this is the line of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. He was blameless in his age. Noah walked with the Most High. Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So before there was a Moses and a Torah and a 10 Commandments, Noah still walked with the Most High, just like Adam and Eve did, just like Enoch did. What is this thing then, man? See, the Most High has this covenant with his children. He loves us. He has given us a law. When we transgress that law, he gives us grace and mercy to get back in line. When that doesn't happen, then the thing that we have sinned with become our debt. It becomes the thing that kills us. So here, the Most High said that all mankind, pre-Noah, pre the flood, in a time of what they will call Atlantis, right? Or Mu, or Pangea, whatever, right? They say, the Most High said, I'm killing every man and woman and beast. But they were hybrid and they were doing some wild things. He said, but Noah walked with me and was aligned with me in righteousness. So therefore I saved Noah and I wiped every human being and beast and animal. Obviously, not the ones in the water because it was a flood. It's about in the water, right? But the land was killed. Yet Noah found grace and mercy. He walked with the Most High. So even you, in a world that has way more people trying to align themselves with the Most High than in the time of Noah, if the Most High can find Noah, one man, out of all that was in the world at the time, and say, okay, grace and mercy, you survived, then he can find you if you're walking with him. Let's go to Exodus 34. Exodus 34, verse 6. And it reads, the Most High passed before him and proclaimed. Now we're going to start at verse 4. So Moshe carved 2 tablets like the first, meaning we all know the story that Moshe came down with the 10 Commandments and they was wilding. They had taken off all the gold and they had burned it and turned it into a golden calf, which they were now worshiping as they did in Egypt because they thought that Moshe had gone up the mountain and was not coming back. Moses, in his outrage of seeing them worshiping the calf after the Most High had brought them out of Egypt, out of their bondage, he could not understand how they could still be worshiping the God that was over their bondage, as we do today. when the good ship Jesus is the one that made it to the shores of this land to bring the slaves, right? Columbus, good ship Jesus, right? So Moshe carved 2 tablets of stone like the first because he threw them down in his disgust. And early in the morning he went up on Mount Sinai as Shadiah had commanded him, taking the 2 stone tablets with him. Verse 5, the Most High came down in a cloud. He stood with him there and proclaimed the Most High and proclaimed the name Shadiah. The Most High passed before him and proclaimed, Ahia, Ahia, I am, a Shadiah, compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and faithfulness. So when we took the covenant with Shadiah the Most High, this part of our Exodus, we enjoined ourselves unto Shadiah, the creator of all things, and made ourselves his people. So Moshe is telling them, now that we have the commandments and the Most High is here in the cloud amongst us, we are making this covenant. And he's letting them know the Most High is slow to anger and has grace and mercy. Let's go to that. Let's go to Jasher. We're going to move on to our Sefer. We was in the Tanakh. We were in the Tanakh, and now we are going to go to our Sefer. And we're going to chapter 72. So the 40 years that Moshe, before he came back and gave us the Torah, right? We are now reading about Moses before Numbers and before Exodus and before Deuteronomy, all right? We are talking about the 40 years after he killed the Egyptian soldier that was beating down another Hebrew. So Moshe, as we're talking in the title of our lesson, confusion, grace and mercy, right? And that Moshe is confused at this time. He's on the run. He's killed a man. Does he get grace and mercy from the Most High? Because he's killed a man. This is one of the laws. This is one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Moshe is in a ways. He's, you feel me? He don't know. Trust me. You have to understand the major unknowingness of his situation. Is he going to be found? Is the Most High going to give him grace and mercy? Is people going to turn him in? Who can he turn to? So who does Moshe turn to in the wilderness? He turned to the Cushites. What we know as Ethiopians. Yeah. They didn't tell y'all this in your school, huh? Moshe turned to him. So let's talk. Let's get to it. So we're going to start at verse 20 of Jasher 72. So that we can get a good understanding. And it says, do I want to start there? You know, I'm going to go a little bit higher than what I had initially decided to read. And we're going to go to verse 15. So the scenario that we have right now is that there is a king of Cush and called Kikianus, right? Kikianus. And Kikianus is outside of his city. Kikianus and his people have been 9 years away from the city because it had been besieged by Balaam, the same Balaam that the Israelites dealt with in the valley. Balaam, the sorcerer, had taken over the Cushite kingdom. I want y'all to understand this. So here we go at 15 of Jasher chapter 72. But the sentinels refused to open them by order of Balaam, the magician, their king. They suffered them not to enter their city. So they raised a battle with them opposite of the city gate. And 130 men of the army of Kikianus fell on that day. And on the next day, they continued to fight, and they fought at the side of the river. They endeavored to pass, but were not able, but some of them sank in the pits and died. So the king ordered them to cut down the trees and to make rafts upon which they might pass to them. And they did so. And they came to the place of the ditches. The waters revolved by mills, and 200 men upon 10 rafts were drowned. And on the third day, they came to fight at the side where the serpents were. But they could not approach there, for the serpents slew of them 170 men, and they ceased fighting against Cush, and they besieged Cush for 9 years. No person came out or in. So understanding that Balaam, the magician, had made himself king of Cush, and he wouldn't let anybody come in or out of Cush, including the real king, Kikianus, because when their soldiers tried to come back to the kingdom, these are the things that were done to them by Balaam, the magician. The serpents was the biggest thing. So they killed close to 500 of their men, well, over 500 of their men, as they tried to besiege. So verse 21, at that time, says at that time that the war and the siege were against Cush, Moshe fled from Mizraim from Pharaoh, who sought to kill him for having slain the Mizri, one of his soldiers. All right, so understand what's going on. Kikianus, the rightful king of Cush, has been taken out of his kingdom by a magician named Balaam. And Balaam has put serpents and water and a whole bunch of things around so that they could not come back into their kingdom. And they've done this for 9 years. And in the midst of that, Moshe has killed the soldier that was beating on the Hebrew. So it says, verse 22, and Moshe was 18 years old when he fled from Mizraim from the presence of the Pharaoh, and he fled and escaped to the camp of Kikianus, which at the time was besieging Cush. I see Ronald Green is in the building. What's up, my brother? Shalom. And Moshe was 9 years in the camp of Kikianus, king of Cush, all the time that they were besieging Cush. And Moshe went out and came in with them. And the king and the princes and all the fighting men loved Moses, for he was great and worthy. His stature was like a noble lion, Yehuda, Judah, baby. His face was like the sun, and his strength was like that of a lion, and he was counselor to the king. So Moshe, who kills the Pharaoh's guard, confused, don't know what he's going to do. He runs to the wilderness and comes across a king that's been kicked out of his own kingdom, and then starts to fight with them to help the Cushite Ethiopian king regain his kingdom. And in the process, they loving the man. The man is a man amongst men. What can I say? He's a Hebrew. He's a Yehuda. Yeah. So then he says, verse 25, at the end of the 9 years, Kikianus was seized with mortal disease, and his illness prevailed over him, and he died on the 7th day, on the Sabbath. So his servants embalmed him and carried him and buried him opposite of the city gate to the north of the land of Mizraim, right? The land north of Mizraim. So, you're talking Egypt, right? And the Cushites, Ethiopian, were north of that land. Think about that. And they built over him an elegant, strong, and high building, and they placed great stones below. And the king's scribes engraved upon those stones all the might of their king Kikianus and all his battles which he had fought. Behold, they are written there at this day. Now, after the death of Kikianus, king of Cush, it grieved his men and the troops greatly on the account of the war. So they said one to another, give us counsel what we are to do at this time, as we have resided in the wilderness 9 years away from our homes. Remember, Moshe was gone for 40 years. This is his first 9 years. 31, verse 31. If we say we will fight against the city, many of us will fall wounded or killed. And if we remain here in the siege, we shall also die. For now, all the kings of Aram and of the children of the east will hear that our king is dead, and they will attack us suddenly in a hostile manner, and they will fight against us and leave no remnant of us. Now therefore, let us go up and make a king over us, and let us remain in the siege until the city is delivered up to us. And they wished to choose on that day a man for king from the army of Kikianus, and they found no object of their choice like Moshe to reign over them. I see Noel in the building. So Moses, who kills the guard, confused, don't know his future, is now thrust to run into the wilderness, runs into a band and a king of the Cushites, the Ethiopians, that have their kingdom has been taken over by a sorcerer named Balaam. Kikianus dies. Now they want to make a king out of the army so they can continue to go against Balaam before the Arabs come and attack them for having no king and being out there in the land. And they say throughout all of their troops, of all the Ethiopians, there was nobody like Moses. See, sometimes the Most High puts us in situations where we are to be an example of him. Obviously, Moshe walked with the Most High in all that he did. So the light from his face that they say shone like a sun is because his countenance, because who he was, his spirit walked with the Most High. So now, even though he's not of their blood, he's not of their kind, they want him to be their king. I see Lisa's in the building. So he goes from being a fugitive to a king because he kept his morals and his values. The same thing I read to you in Exodus, Psalm, Deuteronomy, Genesis, before we got to here, that Moshe said to all of the tribes, because what I read to you in Exodus is after this. Moshe doesn't become our king till he becomes the king of Ethiopians and defeats the sorcerer Balaam. So Moshe can tell you when he's standing before you that the Most High will cover you if you keep in his spirit, if you follow his law, that no matter how bad the situation looks, how confused it is, Moshe telling me, I know from my testimony, my G, this ain't no hocus pocus. This ain't no, I done read this somewhere and I'm telling you to do this. No, I went through this to tell you this is how it goes. So Moshe now becomes king. So let's read. And it says, verse 35, and they hastened and stripped off. So hasten mean they hurried, and stripped off each man his garments and cast them upon the ground. And they made a great heap and placed Moshe on top of the heap. And they rose up and blew with trumpets and called out before him and said, may the king live. May the king live. And all the people and the nobles swore unto him to give him for a woman Adoniah the queen of Cushite, of the Cushite, women of Kikianus, and they made Moshe king over them that day. So Moshe didn't marry just any old girl that he found in the field that they tell you in, that they give you in the Abrahamic faith. They just tell you that Moshe was wandering in the field one day And he came across this girl and from this tribe to dig, and he kind of ran his game at her, you heard me. And then she liked him, and then come to find out she was the daughter of the king. Nah, that ain't how it happened, my G. I need y'all, that's why the Most High asked us to read, to find out for ourselves. No, Moshe was a man amongst men. Moshe was chosen amongst all the Ethiopians that have been going to war. Moshe had been going to war with them, and he was like a lion. He was the counsel to the king before he died. So when he died, they said, Moshe, you be king, and you take the daughter, you take the queen of Cushi and women of Kikianas. So they not only gave him wife, they gave him concubines. And they said, and they made Moshe king over them that day. And all the people of Cush issued a proclamation on that day, saying, every man must give something to Moshe of what is in his possession. And they spread out a sheet upon the heap, and every man cast upon it something of what he had, one of gold earrings, and another of coin. Something that they had, one of gold earring, one another coin, also of onyx stone, bedlam, pearls, and marble did the children of Cush cast unto Moshe upon the heap, also silver and gold in great abundance. And Moshe took all the silver and gold and all the vessels of the bedlam and the onyx and the stones, which all the children of Cush had given to him, and placed them amongst his treasures. And Moshe reigned over the children of Cush on that day in the place of Kikianas, king of Cush. So in this present day, when we don't know which way we should go, or we're confused about our path, things are looking daunting, things are not looking bright. Think of Moshe and how the Most High used his so-called bad situation, his so-called setback, to be his leap forward. We're going to go to Jasher 73, and we're going to drop to verse 11 so we can understand the true glory that the Most High gave Moshe before he came back unto the tribe and had Aaron lead the children out of Egypt. Moshe is just not great in our community. He's great in the Ethiopian and African community. He's known in the Quran. He's respected in the Quran, right? This is our leader. This is of our stock. Every time someone in the Quran speaks about Moses or Moshe, they're speaking about our stock, and it's not them. When we read Jasher 73, verse 11, it says, and Moshe said unto them, pass through and proclaim a voice in the whole camp unto all the people, saying, thus saying the king, go into the forest and bring with you of the young ones of the stork, each man a young one in his hand, and any person trespassing the word of the king, who shall not bring his young one, shall die, and the king will take all belongings up to him. And when you shall bring them, they shall be in your keeping. You shall rear them until they grow up, and you shall teach them to dart upon, as is the way of the young ones of the hawk. So Moses becomes king, and now he has to do what King Kikianas, the former king, could not do. That is, bring back the soldiers of Cush back to their land and reign in their land over the magician, the sorcerer, Balaam. So Moshe says, this is how we're going to defeat them. Every man must go out and get a young stork, a bird, out of the forest and bring it and keep it and care for it and teach it to dart after snakes as the hawks do. Verse 15. All the children of Cush heard the words of Moshe, and they rose up and caused a proclamation to be issued throughout the camp, saying, unto you, all the children of Cush, the king's order is that you go all together to the forest to catch there the young storks, each man his young one in his hand, and you shall bring them home. And any person violating the order of the king shall die, and the king will take all that belongs to him. And all the people did so, and they went out to the wood, and they climbed the fir trees and caught each man a young one in his hand, all the young of the storks, and they brought them unto the desert and reared them by order of the king, and they taught them to dart upon, similar to the young hawks. And after the young storks were reared, the king ordered them to be hungered for 3 days, and all the people did so. And on the third day, the king said to them, strengthen yourselves and become valiant men, and put on each man his armor, and gird on his sword upon him, and ride each man his horse, and take each his young stork in his hand. And they say, and we will rise up and fight against the city at the place where the serpents are. And all the people did as the king had ordered. And they took each man a young one in his hand, and they went away. And when they came to the place of the serpents, the king said to them, send forth each man his young stork upon the serpents. And they sent forth each man his young stork at the king's order. And the young storks ran upon the serpents, and they devoured them all, and destroyed them out of the place. And when the king and the people had seen that all the serpents were destroyed in the place, all the people set up a great shout, and they approached and fought against the city and took it and subdued it, and they entered the city. And there died on that day 100 men of the people of the city, and all that inhabited the city. But of the people besieging, not one died. So not one of Moshe's soldiers died. So all the children of Cush went each to his home, to his woman and his children, and to all belonging to him. And Balaam, the magician, the sorcerer, when he saw that the city was taken, he opened the gate, and he and his 2 sons and 8 brothers fled and returned to Mizraim, to Pharaoh, to the king of Egypt. Verse 29, they are the sorcerers and musicians who are mentioned in the Sefer of the Torah, standing against Moshe and the Most High, who brought the plagues upon Mizraim. So the same Balaam Moshe had beaten before he saw him with Pharaoh, and they threw down their staffs and they turned into alligators. So Balaam already knew he wasn't winning nothing with Moshe. Now that's a whole story, baby. I've shown you the pre-Moses and how he stood on the Most High in his confusion and got glory. Bringing it all the way to when Moshe had to lead us out of Egypt. He had already had practice leading the Ethiopians back to their kingdom and defeating the sorcerers of the land. So when it came time to do it for us, the Most High had vetted my man Moshe. He had gotten Moshe ready to handle his business. And still, he did all that. Moshe was concerned. And as he wrote in Exodus 33:13, he says to the Most High, if you said I have your favor, I need help to lighten my burden. So he gave Aaron, who was his brother, because Moshe stuttered. So through all that I read about him being the king of Ethiopia and taking over all of them, that Moshe was a stutterer through the whole time. Man could barely communicate in a proper manner. So Moshe had many obstacles, but yet the Most High figured out a way, made a way for him to be able to overcome all of them, as long as Moshe stayed following his law and being righteous under the Most High. Moshe became a king. He got the queen of Kinkianas, and he got the concubines, women that he chose, that they gave to him from the Cushites before he became our Moshe and led us out into Egypt. Not out and led us out of Egypt. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to Numbers. Finish out our seven. Let's go to Numbers. We're almost out of here, guys. Only got two more. Numbers, chapter 12, verse 1. It says, when they were in Hazeroth, Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moshe because of the Cushite woman he had married. He married a Cushite woman. They said, has the Most High spoken only through Moshe? He has not spoken through us as well? The Most High heard it. Now, Moshe was a very humble man, more so than any other man on earth. Suddenly, the Most High called Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of meeting. So that the three of them went out, and the Most High came down in a pillar and a cloud, stopped at the entrance of the tent, and called out Aaron and Miriam. The two of them came forward, and he said, hear these my words. Hear these my words. When a prophet of the Most High arises among you, I make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moshe. He is trusted throughout my household. With him I speak mouth to mouth. What? What? Man, you gotta forgive me for getting excited, but you gotta understand, man. Look, Moshe, man, going through it. Moshe earned his Cushite wife, and he's bruised, and they talking. They mad that he got a Cushite woman and not a Hebrew woman, but more importantly, they saying, why the Most High ain't talking through us? He only talked to us like he talked to Moshe. And the Most High said, I talk to y'all through vision. I talk to him mouth to mouth, man to man. What's happening? Oh, man, come on. Come on, man. Look, confusion, yet grace and mercy. Most tripping on how these people are on his neck. Why is Aaron, my brother, and Miriam on my neck about my wife? Confusion, but yet the Most High, grace and mercy, and lays down a law and say, understand, Moshe is not you. Moshe is welcome throughout my house. The Most High says his house. Moshe is honored man. You will not disrespect him. Let's go to our last one for the night, man. The Most High will treat you just as Moshe if you're standing on his law. If you're rocking with him. If in your confusion, you understand that he's doing things, he's giving you a testimony. In your confusion of this world, in your confusion of your intimate life, in your family, understand he wants you to just stand on his law and be righteous in the midst of it so that you have the testimony, so that people can look to you like they look to Moshe and get the victory as the same as Moshe. It wasn't immediate. Moshe don't get things, Moses didn't get things immediate. But after you get this victory from the Most High, I want you to remember this Psalms 100, a psalm of praise. Raise and shout for Shaddai, all the earth. Worship the Most High in gladness. Every man, every child, not just the 12 tribes, come into his presence with shouts of joy. Acknowledge that the Most High is Shaddai. He made us and we are his people. The flock he tends. Enter his gates with praise, his courts with acclamation. Praise, Halal, him. Baraka, his name. Before the Most High, for the Most High is good. His steadfast love is eternal. His faithfulness is for all generations. All praise to the Most High on the Shabbat, man. I pray y'all enjoy this lesson. I pray y'all understand who Moshe is. I pray that you understand that these things have writing. There's a pre to what you think is the beginning. That if you thrust yourself into his readings, into his books, it all comes together. All praise unto the Most High. We give honor, praise, and glory to Shaddai. As he told Abraham, I am that I am. As he told Moshe, Ahaya. And Ahaya Shaddai is the name of our creator, man. Because he told in Genesis 17, verse 1 and 2, he told Abraham, I am Shaddai. The same I am he told to Moshe. So it is Ahaya Shaddai. All praises, man. That's our lesson for the day, man. Man, I didn't even see who's in the building for the chat, but let me say Shabbat Shalom to y'all on YouTube. It's been a great lesson, man. I truly pray you guys rewind it and check it out. Understand Moshe and the glory that is upon you, the same that was upon Moses. All praises. Me Shalom.